And so what I want to do is um, go ahead and talk a little bit about the NE mission overall. Um, and then I will turn the time over to Jenna Payne, who will discuss a little bit about what the intention of this specific topic area is all about. And she can provide further remarks on that. Generally, the CINR funding opportunity is focused um, on university-led research that advances nuclear science and energy, advances for to meet the US's energy needs, economic needs, and environmental needs. And so from the overall focus of the NE mission, there's really 4 areas that we focus on. Those are maintaining and sustaining the current reactor fleet, um, developing and deploying new reactors, sustaining and securing the nuclear fuel cycle, and enabling international energy cooperation in the nuclear space. And so there are some things that are not of interest for that mission. Things that are not of interest for Office of Nuclear Energy are are medical physics, nuclear forensics, nuclear fusion, and environmental management. So as you prep out, what is a grand challenge that a minority serving institution could develop, could address. Just make sure that it's in one of those 4 bulleted areas, and really focuses the energy on one of these Office of Nuclear Energy mission areas. Other than that, the scope area is really broad, and it's intentionally broad so that you as principal investigators can really um, address a known or an identified gap in those spaces. And so with that, I'll turn some time over to Jenna, who's the program manager for this area, to talk a little bit about the intention of the IRP call, and then we'll open up for questions. Go ahead, Jenna.
Sure. Thanks, Drew. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jenna Payne. I'm part of the University and Competitive Research team here at NE. I'm the Federal Program Manager for the CINR funding opportunity, and I'm also serving as the Federal POC for this Grand Challenge R&D at MSI's scope. So this is an area we offered in the FY23 funding opportunity, and we're excited to be able to offer it once again here in fiscal year 24. As Drew mentioned, it's really wide open as to the types of things that you can propose here. We're looking at up to 3 years and 2 months and about $3 million for this scope. And of course, it's an area that really relies on a multi-institutional, multidisciplinary team to accomplish the project goals. So again, as long as it's within the NE mission, we're really looking for the PIs to pitch over your most creative, most innovative ideas to help advance nuclear energy R&D at MSIs. Dr. John Gilligan, who is the director of our integration office, is also here with me to help answer any questions you may have related to this grand challenge. Just wanted to give him a moment to speak up if he has anything to add. So John, if you have anything before we move on to questions, please go ahead. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Jenna. Well, yeah, as Jenna mentioned, and Drew mentioned also in terms of the scope for the NE mission, and this is wide open in a lot of ways. So as long as it addresses the mission of Office of Nuclear Energy, then it's fair game, as long as you can justify it as a grand challenge to address one of the needs. I think it's understood in this case that the project has to be understood by, has to be led by MSI. And, if you look at the awards that were made last year into this program, you've got 2 different kinds of projects. One was more of a researchy kind of project, but involved at least 2 MSIs and others. And then the other award that was made was to more of a consortia addressing a grand challenge, but had a more educational flavor to it. And so I think the review committee and DOE would be looking at those kind of projects as kind of bracketing the kinds of things that might be successful in this area, involving MSI institution along with others. And so I think I'll just leave it at that right now, and we'll ask for questions if there are any.
Thanks, John.
John and Jenna, I do want to add a couple of items from an administrative standpoint on how this IRP is structured. I think that might be helpful just from a rule for how the rules are set up for this IRP. This IRP must be led by a minority serving institution. In the funding opportunity, you'll find the Department of Education's 2023 eligibility matrix, which will define which institutions are qualified as MSIs based on the Department of Education's definitions of the different minority serving institution groups. 80% of the funding has to go to a minority serving institution as defined on that list. And so there's an opportunity for 20% of the funding to go to either a non-minority serving institution university, more in a support role, or to a national laboratory or industry partner to help, kind of address any gaps that may be present in the minority serving institution team's capabilities or expertise. And so that's the way that these are structured to try to base most of this research out of a minority serving institution.
The other thing that's changed, of course, this year is that it's a $3 million award. Last year, it was $1.5 million, and hence we were able to award two. The DOE was able to find the money for. So this year it's likely $3 million award for this IRP. So keep that in mind as well. Scope can be much bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. And one last thought as you were saying that, John, is that when we say, a grand challenge for minority serving institutions to address, having a focused area where one major grand challenge is being addressed is an important aspect of the proposal, instead of having multiple institutions pursuing very different types of research.
Yeah, I think that's characteristic of all of our IRPs. Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Okay, those are all the comments that I had. Felicia, Jenna, John, anything else before we turn the time back over to Felicia for question and answer?
No, that's fine. Good.
Okay, I was just going to add that, where we require this MSI participation, one thing that I highly recommend is as you're putting together your teams, do your best to make sure that these MSIs have a really impactful, important role in the research. We're not trying to just check a box. We really want them to have a significant role in here. And I think that's just something I'd like to recommend. I'd like to see in the application.
Good point,
so thank you.
Of course. Yeah, the review panels will be looking for that.
Yeah. And I'm done, Drew.
All right, we'll turn the time back over to Felicia and start our question and answer session then.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, we have our first question in the chat. Is IRP2 meant to overlap with the other topic areas? Should an MSI submit to IRP2 instead of one of the other topic areas?
Jen, I can take this if you would like me to. Just let
Sure,
me know.
go ahead. I was trying to get off mute. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. What I was going to say is that IRP2 is inclusive of any topic area within the NE mission. So the answer to this question, short answer is yes, it is meant to overlap. The difference here, though, is the overall budget and the overall scope of what you could potentially do. The maximum for a application in the other topic areas is either $500,000 or $1 million. this is a $3 million project, meaning that, the major difference that I see is that it would be broader in scope and it would really be focused on addressing a grand challenge, meaning finding a large technical gap and being able to fill that in a holistic way with the proposal that you'd proposed in an IRP. The traditional topic areas tend to be a little bit more incremental, while the IRPs tend to be a little bit bigger and broader.
Great, thank you, Drew. Looks like the next question, we have a hand raised. Charles, go ahead.
With respect to this topic, is there a requirement to have multiple universities similar to IRP1, or can the entire budget be spent within a single MSI?
I think that's going to be left up to the discretion of the PI, Charles. I think one of the things that we like to see, one of the natural designs of the IRP is to really pull in those multiple institutions to tackle a big significant problem. That's why the budget is at 3 million rather than some of our smaller projects at 1 million or 500,000. But again, it's left up to you. But I think the intention is to kind of pull in as many partners as necessary to tackle the issue. I don't know if John, you have anything to add to that?
Well, another way of answering that is if you look at all the awards that have ever been made for IRPs or even for our regular R&D, most, I would say 99% of the time, it's multiple institution. Very rarely do we have a single institution that's capable of providing everything.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for those answers. Anyone else who has questions, please feel free to take yourself off mute and ask a question. You can raise your hand or type a question into the chat. All right, one more question from chat. How much emphasis should be placed in research training of students?
Well, that's one I'll take on here. I think if you just look at the IRP awards from last year, one was more research training, involvement of students in a select topic area, fuel cycle, as I recall. And so it was more of that model, whereas the other IRP award was more focused research in a particular area. So I guess the answer is yes. It should include both in this case because it's a much bigger award. So, but you definitely should include emphasis on minority students that are participating, that you're trying to recruit. How are they going to be involved? What's the advantage for them, et cetera? I think that should be a key part of the whole proposal.
Okay, thank you. We don't have any other questions right now. Oh, one just came in the chat. Is it acceptable to have non-MSI universities as collaborators?
Yes.
Yes.
But only up to 20%.
Okay, thank you. Right, we will hang on here and wait for more questions to come in. All right, the max 20% is also for university partners.
For this call, it's the maximum, the 20% maximum is for non-MSI university partners, national laboratories, or industry. So the idea behind this IRP is that 80% of the budget is reserved for minority serving institutions to help them address the grand challenge, capability build, do those types of things with a non-MSI university or a national laboratory or an industry partner in a supporting role to provide expertise, not necessarily to lead the project.
Right. Another question from the chat. Is there an expectation to have multiple MSI university partners?
I think the answer would be, it's not required, but like I said before, I've never seen an IRP that didn't have many partners to address a large scope project, grand challenge in particular, and even our standard R&D. So the expectation, I guess, would be, yes, there would be multiple MSIs involved. Not required, just saying it would be more than likely the case.
Looks like there's a couple people typing in the chat, so we'll hang on for just a second as those questions come in. Okay, so the first question is the lead institution should be an MSI.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
As well as up to 80% of, I mean, at least 80% of the rest of the budget should be at MSIs.
Okay. And is there an expectation to have industry partners?
No. Not if it doesn't fit, I wouldn't force it in there. You could always have industry partners, but again, that can only be up to 20% of the budget. I think let me just explain. I think one of the suggestions we've had from many MSI institutions in the past is that we needed to build the capability at many MSI institutions for legitimate research kind of activities. And so this is all aimed at trying to accomplish that. So that's why the emphasis on 80% of the money going to MSI institutions.
Okay. And then is partnership with a national lab encouraged? And if so, this follows under the 20% of the budget rule, correct?
That's correct. And I would say it's not encouraged or discouraged if you need it. I think one of the proposals, one of the winners last year did have a national lab and the other one did not. So you go either way.
Thank you for those answers. We will just hang tight for another minute and see if we get any more questions coming in. Okay, another question from the chat. Should the research proposed be mission focused or broader?
Well, all the projects have to be any mission satisfactory as far as that goes. But the grand challenge usually is focused in one particular area, I would say. And if you look at the awards from last year, one was very focused and another was a little bit more broad. So I think there's a little bit of flexibility there from what as I recall, Drew and Jenna.
I agree, John. Yeah, that's right.
Felicia, as we wait for any final questions, let me just mention a few things. Nick Case, who runs the IRP program out of the integration office, has already put this in the chat, but I just want to remind those who haven't seen it. The due date for these integrated research projects is December 20th, near the end of the calendar year here, so there's still plenty of time to propose and plenty of time to build your teams. I do want to encourage you, if you have further questions on this IRP, whether those are administrative, like the rules surrounding the IRP, or maybe some questions about technical scope, that you submit those to NEUP@inl.gov, which I'll type in the chat, and that will be a resource for you where someone on our team can look at those questions, get them to the right individuals to get you an answer to any curiosities or questions that you have. Felicia, I see there's another question in the chat.
Yes. Can you expand on any of the previous awards that were education focused? I believe you mentioned that one was focused on research training.
Well, yeah, just go back and look at the abstracts that are posted on NEUP.gov. But one was focused more strongly in one particular area to accomplish a described grand challenge in, I believe, the thermal hydraulics area. And the other was a little bit more broad in the fuels area that was going to bring students together from various institutions and curricula, and as well as research, and was just a little bit more broad. So there's flexibility on how these that we've given, obviously, with the description here is very broad of what you can accomplish.
I went ahead and provided the link to the abstracts from last year in the chat as well. So this is for IRP 1 and 2 last year, so it includes everything.
Good.
Okay, thank you. I think we can do a last call for questions then. If you do have any final questions, feel free to take yourself off mute, ask your question, or you can put it in chat.
The other thing, of course, with the IRPs here, no pre-application is needed. As Drew was mentioning, these are not, the full proposal is not due till the end of the year.
Alicia, without seeing any additional questions, I just want to thank John and Jenna for being here, supporting these office hours for this question and answer session, and letting everyone know, please do continue to reach out as questions come up as you're building your teams for this opportunity. And with that, I think we can wrap up the meeting here and let John and Jenna go. And thank you all for your participation, and happy proposing. We're excited to see what all of you will come up with for this specific opportunity. So take care, everyone.
Yes, thank you.
Good.
Yep, thank you for your interest and questions, everyone. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Drew, Jenna, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Yeah, see you, bye.
All right, take care.